I've always had an odd fascination with abandoned buildings. There's something about their silent, eerie halls that pulls me in, like a moth to a flame. But there's one experience that still haunts my dreams, a memory so vivid that I can still feel the chill in my bones. It was a cool October evening, the kind where the air is just starting to bite. My friend Alex and I decided to explore an old, abandoned hospital on the outskirts of our town. The hospital had been shut down years ago, under mysterious circumstances. Rumors swirled about malpractice, hauntings, and all sorts of spine-chilling tales. Being typical teenagers, we were drawn to the thrill of it. Armed with flashlights and a hefty dose of overconfidence, we ventured into the decaying structure. The entrance was overgrown with vines, and the once white walls were now a canvas of graffiti and decay. Our flashlights cut through the darkness, revealing peeling paint and debris-littered floors. The air was stale, and every step seemed to echo through the empty corridors. As we delved deeper into the hospital, a sense of unease began to creep over me. It felt like we were being watched. Alex, ever the joker, tried to lighten the mood with his usual quips, but even his voice seemed swallowed up by the oppressive atmosphere. We came across a room that looked like it had been an operating theater. The table in the center was rusted, its leather straps frayed and rotting. It was here that things started to get strange. We heard a noise, like a soft thump, coming from the floor above us. Rationalizing it as a stray animal, we decided to investigate, curiosity getting the better of fear. The upper floor was in even worse shape. Wallpaper hung in tattered strips, and every few steps our feet would crunch on broken glass. As we moved towards the source of the sound, the air grew noticeably colder. I remember seeing my breath, a ghostly vapor in the beam of my flashlight. We reached a hallway, and that's when I saw it. A shadow, darker than the surrounding darkness, moving at the end of the corridor. My heart raced, and for a moment I was paralyzed. Alex grabbed my arm, hissing a warning, but the shadow was gone as quickly as it appeared. Despite every instinct screaming at me to run, we pressed on, drawn by an inexplicable force. The thumping sound continued, now accompanied by a faint whispering that seemed to come from all around us. The words were indistinct, but they filled me with dread. We reached a set of double doors, slightly ajar. The thumping was louder now, rhythmic and unsettling. Pushing the doors open, we were met with a sight that froze us in our tracks. The room was filled with old hospital beds, each shrouded in shadows. But it wasn't the beds that terrified us. It was the figure standing amongst them, still as a statue. It was a man, or at least the silhouette of one. He was facing away from us, his head tilted at an unnatural angle. The air around him seemed distorted, as if reality itself was warping. I don't know how long we stood there, staring at that figure, but eventually it moved. It turned towards us slowly, and where its face should have been, there was nothing but an inky void. That was enough for us. We turned and ran, not stopping until we burst out into the night air, lungs burning and hearts pounding. We never spoke of what we saw that night, and soon after, Alex moved away. But the memory of that shadowed figure stayed with me. Sometimes, in the dead of night, I can still hear that faint whispering voice, and I wonder if we were ever really alone in that abandoned hospital. The experience taught me to respect the unknown, to understand that some places are better left unexplored. The shadows in forgotten halls hold secrets that are not meant for the living, and some mysteries are best left unsolved. In a quaint suburban neighborhood known for its serene atmosphere and sprawling homes, there were two teenagers, Sam and Alex, who were always on the lookout for adventure. This story, which Sam vividly recalls, occurred during a summer a few years back, leaving an indelible mark on his memory. Sam and Alex were typical teenagers, filled with a rebellious streak that often led them to seek thrills wherever they could find them. Their neighborhood, although beautiful, offered little in terms of excitement for young minds. Therefore, the two friends frequently came up with their own forms of entertainment. One of the most infamous landmarks in their area was an old abandoned mansion located at the top of a hill. This mansion was no stranger to the local youth. Its empty, graffiti-covered rooms were a common hideout for those seeking a bit of mischief or a quiet place to retreat. The mansion's eerie presence was accentuated by its location next to a vast, old cemetery, adding to its allure for thrill-seekers like Sam and Alex. One particular summer night, after being stood up by some friends, Sam and Alex decided to venture to the mansion. It was around 3 a.m., and the air was filled with the tranquil silence of a sleeping neighborhood. Arriving at the mansion, they were greeted by the sight of its dilapidated structure, with vines crawling up its sides and broken windows punctuating its facade. In a bid to vent their frustration and boredom, Sam picked up a rock and threw it at the mansion, breaking one of the windows on the upper floor. The sound of shattering glass echoed in the still night, bringing a sense of mischievous satisfaction. Alex followed suit, targeting another window. They continued this for a while until Alex threw a rock at a small, lonely window at the very top of the mansion. To their surprise, something bizarre happened. The rock Alex had thrown seemed to be thrown back out of the window, landing right in front of them. The same rock, identifiable by a distinct marking, lay at their feet. Confused and slightly unnerved, they initially thought other kids might be in the mansion, trying to prank them. Eager to confront these supposed pranksters, Sam and Alex stealthily entered the mansion. They crept up the creaky stairs, the old wood groaning under their weight. They had never been to the topmost part of the mansion before, and their curiosity was piqued. Leading the way, Alex cautiously opened the door to the attic. The moment the door opened, they were hit by an overwhelming stench of decay. The attic was small, with a pentagram painted on the floor and unlit candles scattered around. A closed closet seemed to be the source of the foul smell, but they didn't dare to open it. Looking around, they realized there was no one else there. Feeling increasingly uneasy, Sam suggested they leave. But just as they were about to exit, they saw two cloaked figures at the bottom of the staircase, staring up at them. Panic set in. They heard more footsteps approaching from another direction. Trapped, they noticed a shattered window leading to the roof and quickly climbed out. Once on the roof, they ran towards a known escape hatch, only to find it locked from the inside. With no other option, Sam broke the hatch open, allowing them to climb down a ladder to the lower floors. They sprinted out of the mansion, jumping over the back fence into the cemetery. Hiding behind gravestones, they watched as several cloaked figures searched the mansion grounds. It seemed as if they had interrupted some secretive gathering or ritual. Sam and Alex waited until the coast was clear, then made their escape through the cemetery. They never returned to the mansion after that night. The experience left them with more questions than answers. Why were those people there? What were they doing? These questions remained unanswered, but the memory of that terrifying night at the abandoned mansion lingered long after. In a tranquil, small countryside town, nestled far from the bustling cities, a close-knit community of a few thousand people lived their lives in harmony. This was a place where everyone knew each other and was aware of everything that happened within its serene borders. Among the town's residents was a high school student, Alex, who, like most teenagers, spent much of his time with his best friend Mark. As autumn painted the town with its golden hues, whispers about an old, abandoned farmhouse at the town's edge began to circulate among the high schoolers. The house, left to decay over the past 5 years, had become the center of many local legends and stories. Alex, usually not one to chase after such thrills, found his curiosity piqued, especially as Mark, ever the adventurer, was drawn to the mystery of the deserted home. One weekend night, with nothing else to fill their time, Mark convinced Alex to explore the farmhouse. Equipped with a couple of flashlights, the pair drove towards the rumored location, excitement and a hint of apprehension in the air. Finding the farmhouse wasn't challenging. It stood in the distance, a silhouette of neglect against the moonlit sky. However, the driveway was nowhere to be seen, likely reclaimed by nature over the years. Parking their car by the roadside, they ventured across the field towards the haunting structure. The closer they got, the quieter the night seemed to become. The farmhouse, overrun with weeds and vines, bore an eerie, unwelcoming air. The front door was missing, which made entering the decaying building an easy, albeit unnerving, task. Inside, the first floor revealed little but trash and decay, prompting the boys to wonder about the circumstances that led to the house's abandonment. Their exploration continued upstairs, where darkness engulfed the space, the moonlight seemingly unable to penetrate its gloom. With flashlights in hand, they discovered 2 rooms separated by a hallway. Mark tried to open the door to the left, but found it locked. Meanwhile, Alex entered the room on the right, which was empty except for mold creeping across the ceiling and a window boarded up with wooden slabs. Curious about the barricaded window, Alex peered between the slabs. Instead of revealing a secret or a hidden escape, the window simply overlooked the field they had traversed. However, to his shock, Alex saw a figure moving towards the farmhouse in the distance. Panic set in as he whispered to Mark about the approaching stranger. Their initial excitement turned to fear, especially when they heard someone enter the house below. The intruder's footsteps echoed as they ascended the stairs, the sound growing ominously closer. The boys stood frozen, holding their breath, as a large man appeared in the hallway, focused on unlocking the other room. The moment was fraught with tension. Alex and Mark barely dared to move, fearing discovery. Then, as the man entered the locked room, revealing another person inside, the boys seized their chance. They dashed down the stairs, the sound of their escape prompting the men to give chase. Heart pounding, they sprinted across the field back to their car and drove away without looking back. The drive home was silent, both teenagers processing the night's terrifying events. They were too scared to involve the police, fearing repercussions for their trespassing. The mystery of the farmhouse lingered in their minds, compounded a month later when they learned the house was suddenly purchased and demolished without explanation. The true story behind the farmhouse and its late-night visitors remained an enigma, a haunting memory in the otherwise peaceful countryside town.